Hello students, I am Garima Miss. Welcome back to my English lecture. Today is the third and the last lecture of the poem 2.3 The Inchcape Rock, written by Robert Southey. Before starting, let me remind you what we had done in the last lecture. We had completed line by line explanation of the poem The Inchcape Rock. Then we had seen rhyming words and rhyming scheme of the poem. And lastly we had seen archaic words. So now look into the slide. What we are going to do today. Firstly, we will do full figures of speech of this poem. Secondly, we will do margin question answers. Thirdly, we will do icebreakers of this poem, and lastly we will complete brainstorming of this poem 2.3 The Inchcape Rock. So without wasting time, let's move on to the figures of speech of the poem The Inchcape Rock. So first topic of today is figures of speech. See the slide. This slide you had already seen in the first poem, that is the Song of the Open Road, where we had already done 9 figures of speech. So move to the next. In this slide we are going to see 5, and in the next we are going to see 2 more figures of speech. So let's start. Which are the new ones? First one is the transferred epithet. What do you mean by the term transferred epithet? Transferred का तो meaning समझा, from one place to another. What is epithet? Epithet is the adjective. Okay, adjective we all know, to describe something. So if the adjective is used but it is transferred to the another person, so that is known as transferred epithet. Second one, apostrophe. It is the direct address to the death, abstract thing or the non living thing. डायरेक्ट एड्रेस किसको करते हैं? ओ डेथ हैड कम, तो ऐसे ओ डेथ डायरेक्ट एड्रेस किया ना, सो देयर इट इज एपोस्ट्रोफी. Inanimate object. Inanimate object means the object which are not having the life. Abstract idea, it means like here in this poem the words are used, oh Christ. Okay, so of course God is present everywhere, but it's an abstract idea. An abstract idea is used directly, then it is known as apostrophe. Next, anticlimax. In the last slide we had already studied climax. What was climax? In this figure of speech, ideas are present in the ascending order of importance. So here you can see anticlimax. If you would see, words are arranged in the descending order of importance. Is that clear? Next, fourth one, rhetorical question or interrogation. What do you mean by the term rhetorical question? It means in this figure of speech, questions were asked. Whosoever is the poet or writer, he is asking the question with no answer is expected from the reader. जब भी आप देखोगे रेटोरिकल क्वेश्चन और इंट्रोगेशन रहता है, सेंटेंस के बाद में क्वेश्चन मार्क रहता है, देख के समझ जाओ कि देयर इट इज रेटोरिकल क्वेश्चन. तो इसको आइडेंटिफाई करना बहुत ईजी है. whenever there is a question mark, there is a rhetorical question or interrogation. Rhetorical question is also known as interrogation question. So in this figure of speech you can see the question is asked by the poet, but he is not expecting for the readers. Who are the readers? We are the readers. हम लोग के लिए नहीं रुकता है कि वो हम लोग उसको आंसर देगा, but of course we, when we read the poem, we of course discuss on that topic raised by the poet. Next one, exclamation. It's a grammatical term, but of course in the figures of speech it has been used. So in this figure of speech, words consist of the sudden expression of an emotion or wish. In this figure of speech, words are consist of sudden expression. On the spot, what comes in your mind? Which type of emotion is coming? That it is exclamation. If our exclamation sentence हमेशा याद रखो, whenever it ends with the exclamatory mark. जब भी exclamatory sentence end होता है, वहाँ पे last में आप exclamatory mark देखोगे. So we can understand from there that there is a figures of speech. Next one, onomatopoeia. I think in the 11th standard I had already taught you, but it is just the revision. In this figure of speech, words which show sound or sound words are used. Okay, like banging the desk ओके ये पोयम में देखो गर्गलिंग साउंड यूज हुआ है. गर्गलिंग इफ यू वुड सी इज नॉट हैविंग एनी मीनिंग बट इट्स अ साउंड वर्ड. ओके सो इट इज onomatopoeia. नेक्स्ट यू कैन सी इज एंटीथीसिस. एंटीथीसिस में क्या होता है स्टूडेंट्स? इन दिस फिगर ऑफ स्पीच अ पर्सन और थिंग दैट इज डायरेक्ट अपोजिट ऑफ समवन or something, it is called antithesis. Direct, if you would see, two words are used which are just opposite to each other for that person or thing, it is known as antithesis. एक सेंटेंस में दो अपोजिट वर्ड्स मिलते हैं, एक ही पर्सन के लिए बोला है तो उसको एंटीथेसिस बोलते हैं. इज दैट क्लियर? So let's start line by line. We will solve line by line figures of speech. Line number 1. No stairs in the air, no stairs in the sea. Which figure of speech do you find? Yes, repetition. What do you mean by the term repetition? Repetition, it means words are repeated. Which words are repeated over here? No stair. So the answer is the term no stair are repeated. How many times? Twice times. Okay, so you can write over here. Next, alliteration. What is alliteration? We all know alphabetical letters are repeated. So in this line, which letter is repeated twice times? In this line you can see N and S. Okay, mainly if you would see N and S are repeated more than 2 to 3 times. So here it is alliteration. Line number 2. The ship was as still as she could be. Here in this line, two figures of speech are there. First one is personification. The ship has given the human being quality, and that is to be still. Still means in a calm position. शिप को आप देखोगे यहाँ पे ह्यूमन बीइंग का क्वालिटी दिया है. नेक्स्ट इज एलिट्रेशन. हियर इट इज एस इज रिपीटेड थ्राइस टाइम्स फॉर पोएटिक इफेक्ट. Line number 3. Her sails from heaven received no motion. So in this line you can see there are three figures of speech. First one you can easily take out, that is alliteration. Yes, why it is alliteration student? Because the sound H is repeated twice times. Heaven and her. Okay, that H is repeated twice times for poetic effect. Next is personification. Here you can see sails have given the human quality to receive motion. Okay, so I had told that motion, no motion. Who is in the motion? Human being. So that quality is given to none other than ship, which is an inanimate object. Next, do you find this statement as proper? No, we do not find this statement as proper. So there is an inversion. Words are not present in the proper order. So what is the correct order? In it, the correct order is her sails received no motion from heaven. So here it is inversion. Line number 4. Her keel was steady in the ocean. Which figure of speech do you find, student? Personification. Yes, her. ठीक है, यहाँ पे शिप को कौन सा प्रोनाउन यूज किया है? हर. हर कील वॉज steady in the ocean. So here you can see keel has given the human quality to be steady. Steady is the quality is given to inanimate object, that is ship. Quarter number 2. Fifth line, there is no figures of speech. You can see fifth line there, it might be like alliteration. Yes, sign, sound and shock, you can write alliteration. Next, sixth line you can see even there is no important figure of speech. Seventh line we will directly come in. So little they rose, so little they fell. So here you can see total 5 figures of speech is used. First one is repetition. So little they. This phrase is repeated twice times for poetic effect. Next, alliteration. Which letter is repeated twice times? S and L. Next, personification. So little they किसको बोला है? Tides को. Tides which are coming in that sea is given the human being quality, that is rising and falling. Next you can see antithesis. Right now I had taught here the term rose and fell. is just opposite to each other. Rising and falling is just opposite to each other, so there is antithesis. Next, anticlimax. That also I had taught you right now. Ideas are present in the descending order of importance. So little they rose, so little they fell. Okay, गिरने के बाद ही हम खड़े होते हैं. So आप देखोगे it is present in the decreasing order or descending order, so we call it as anticlimax. Next line. So we will see line number 11. That is quadrant number 3, third line. On a buoy in the storm, it floated and swung. There it is two figures of speech. First one is alliteration. Yes, here sound of the letter S sound is repeated twice times for poetic effect. One more figure of speech. Do you find the statement as proper? No, we do not find the statement as proper because the sentences are not in the proper order. It is inversion. So what is the correct line? It floated and swung on a buoy in the storm. Next, line number 12. And over the waves, its warning rung. You can see which figure of speech is used there. It is alliteration. Here, sound of the letter W is repeated twice times to present the poetic effect. So there it is alliteration. Next, one more thing, student. It is personification. Waves are given the human being quality, that is warning. Okay, so it is personification. Next line number 13, that is quatrain number 4. When the rock was hit by the surge swell. Here it is two figures of speech. One is, we all know, that is alliteration again. Sound S, which is that word surge swell. एक के बाद एक आ रहा है, तो वो तो टिपिकल आप देखोगे एलिट्रेशन का बेस्ट एग्जाम्पल है. नेक्स्ट यू कैन सी इट इज पर्सोनिफिकेशन. व्हाई इट इज पर्सोनिफिकेशन? बिकॉज ह्यूमन बीइंग क्वालिटी is given to the inanimate object. So which is the human being quality? Hiding is given to whom? Given to the rock. Rock आपने देखा होगा, strong rock. It is a inanimate object, is given to the human being quality, and that is hiding. Next line. Now come to the quatrain number 5, first line. That is line number 17. The sun in heaven was shining. Okay, here you can see there is one figure of speech. It is inversion. So the answer you have to write, the words are not present in the proper order as in the prose line it requires. So it should be, the correct way to write is, the sun was shining gay in heaven. This is the correct way of writing. Line number 18, there is no important figure of speech. We will directly see line number 19. The seabirds screamed as they wheeled round. So here you can see is alliteration. Which sound is repeated? S sound is repeated. C and screamed. So the sound S is repeated how many times? Twice times. So what it is? Alliteration. Chapter number 6 is not having important figure of speech. So we will move to the quatrain number 7, and the line number is 26. Can you please see the line number 26? It made him whistle, it made him sing. Which figure of speech is there? While seeing, you can understand words are repeated, and when it is repeated, we call it as repetition. So the term it made him are repeated for poetic effect. Is that clear? Okay, one more figure of speech is there. We all understand, that is alliteration. So which letters sounds are used? I, M, okay, H even. Okay, so these are the letters which are used. So next quatrain number 8, if you would see, there is no important you can see figure of speech is there. So we will move directly to the quatrain number 9. Quatrain number 9, first line only, there is a two important figure of speech. First line, the boat is lowered, the boatman row. First one is very easy to understand, and that is alliteration. Sound of the letter B is repeated twice times, boat and boatman. Okay, so this is alliteration. Don't be confused कि वहाँ पे repetition नहीं रहेगा, क्योंकि boat अलग होता है, boatman अलग होता है. तो ये दोनों अलग वर्ड हो जा रहा है, तो वहाँ पे रेपिटेशन नहीं है, सिर्फ एलिट्रेशन है. एंड वन मोर फिगर ऑफ स्पीच इज देयर, एंड व्हाट इज दैट? क्लाइमैक्स. So why it is climax? Because the ideas are present in the increasing order of importance or ascending order of importance. Second line of the ninth quatrain. Second line of the ninth quatrain, and to the Inchcape rock they go. So here you can see there are two figures of speech. It is inversion because the words are not present in the proper order as it is required in the prose line. So what is the correct order? The correct order, it should be, and they go to the Inchcape rock. Next you can see it is alliteration. Which letter is repeated? Here you can see the T. Okay, T is repeated. Letter T is repeated. How many times? Twice or thrice times. Okay, even TH is repeated twice times and letter T is repeated thrice times. Next is ninth quadrant, third line, that is line number 35. Sir Ralph bent over from the boat. Here sound of the letter, which letter is repeated? B. B letter is repeated how many times? Twice times. So what it is? Alliteration. Next, line number 36. And we cut the bell from the Inchcape float. Okay, so here you can see which figure of speech is there. It is alliteration. And the sound of the letter F, float and from, okay, is repeated how many times? Twice times. So it is what? Alliteration. Next you can see 10th quadrant, first line, that is line number 37. Down chunk the bell with a gurgling sound. Yes, देखो मैंने आज जो पढ़ाया आपको about onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is a sound word. So here in the poem also the poet uses the sound to make us understand that when the Inchcape bell was cut, it makes a gurgling sound. So the answer is the word gurgling sounds, the meaning itself. Gurgling सुन के आप समझ जाओगे that it is related to water or bubbles. So it is a sound word. So we call it as onomatopoeia. Next, we all know it's a alliteration. I had said the poem is filled with the alliteration. Which sound is repeated how many times? Sound S is repeated twice times. So that was the line number 37. Next line number 38. 10th quadrant, third line. The bubbles rose and burst around. Here you can see three figures of speech is there. First one we all know it is onomatopoeia, that is bubbles. Right now only I had said. And burst. Okay, the words bubbles and burst are the sound words. Okay, sound words, and they are having the meaning in themselves only. Next, alliteration. Which sound is repeated how many times? B. B sound. Okay, bubbles and burst. So B is repeated twice times in the poem for poetic effect. Next, climax. Climax means ideas are present in ascending or increasing order of importance. Normally we आपने देखा होगा, first the bubbles comes on the surface of the water and then it bursts. So the ideas are present in ascending order of importance. Next quatrain is quatrain number 11. Second line C, that is line number 42. He scoured the seas for many a day. Here it is alliteration. Which sound is repeated how many times? Sound S is repeated twice times. After that you can see 43 and 44 is not having important figures of speech in that line. Next quadrant, 12th quadrant, you can see there also there is no important figure of speech is there. So we will directly come on the line number 49, that is quatrain number 13th. On the deck, the rower takes his stand. Here it is inversion because words are not present in the proper order. So as the prose line required, it should be the rower takes his stand on the deck. So that here in this line there is inversion. Next line, in this 13th quadrant, last line, that is line number 52, you can see there it is paradox. I had taught you earlier, paradox means सेल्फ कॉन्ट्राडिक्टरी सेंटेंस. अपने में ही आप देखोगे टू कॉन्ट्राडिक्टरी सेंटेंस आपको मिलेंगे. दो जगह पे क्या हो रहा है, एक जगह पे लाइट ग्लो हो रहा है इन लाइक शाइनिंग, मे बी सनराइज होने वाला है या मून राइज, एंड राइजिंग मून. तो दोनों आप देखोगे इट इज़ लिटिल बिट कंफ्यूजिंग, बट ऑफ कोर्स देयर इज अ कंट्रास्ट वर्ड्स आर देयर. नेक्स्ट क्वाड्रेंट यू कैन सी द क्वाड्रेंट नंबर 14th. first line, that is line number 53. Here you can see the statement as follows: can'ts hear, said one, the breakers roar. So here it is, I had taught you today only. The question is asked for poetic effect without expecting any answers from the reader. सेंटेंस में स्टेटमेंट के बाद क्वेश्चन मार्क है तो समझ जाओ देयर इट इज इंट्रोगेशन और रेटोरिकल क्वेश्चन. नेक्स्ट लाइन नंबर 54, फॉर मी थिंग्स वी शुड बी नियर द सोर. Sound of the letter S is repeated twice times. Line number 55, now where we are I cannot tell. So here you can see words are not present in the proper order. What is the correct format? I cannot tell where we are now. So that's why it is inversion. Next line you can see there is no important figure of speech is there. So we will move to the quatrain number 15th quatrain, third line, that is line number 59. Till the vessel strike with a shivering shock. Of course here it is alliteration because strike, shivering and shock. Here thrice times, 3 times you can see sound of the letter S is repeated. So therefore it is alliteration. Next one, personification. Personification, why it is? Because the vessel, we all know vessel. What do you mean by the term vessel? Vessel means ship. Ship has given the human being quality and that is shivering shock. कौन डर से shiver करता है? Human being. Okay, we used to do the shivering. So here a human being quality is given to the ship. Next you can see, and one more figure of speech is there, that is transferred epithet. Today only I had taught the adjective is transferred to something else. And vessel, that is the ship. Ship was shivering, but here it is transferred to shock. के सामने आप देखोगे shivering डाल दिया है. So the adjective shivering is transferred from the vessel to the shock. Next is line number 60. Oh Christ, it is the Inchcape rock. Here it is exclamation. This poetic device is used to express the overflow of feeling. Spontaneous, on the spot. देखो, Ralph the rower shouted that he regretted his mistake and he is repenting and saying, "Oh Christ, I had cut the bell, so I am facing the problem." We express our feeling on the spot, and when it is expressed, it is called exclamation. So here, while seeing the exclamatory mark, you can understand that here it is exclamation. One more figure of speech is there here, and it is apostrophe. I had taught today only that it is direct address to the death, inanimate object or abstract idea, and here it is addressed to the Christ. Jesus Christ is present everywhere in this world, okay, but we can't find him. Because of that, there it is apostrophe. So the poet is addressing to the Christ. Next quatrain you can see quatrain number 16, third line, that is 63 line. The waves rush in every side. Okay, so here you can see it is personification. Why it is personification? Because the human being quality, that is to rush. We rush na from one place to another. We kabhi late hota hai to we just rush towards one fastly to that, to reach to that place. So that rush habit is of a human being is given to waves. So therefore it is personification. Line number 64, there is no important figure of speech. You can write ship and sinking. Sound S is repeated twice times. That is there in the 64th line. 65 line, that is last quatrain. Last quatrain 65 line you can see, but even in his dying fear. There it is two important figure of speech is there. One is personification. Fear. Fear has given the human quality and that is dying. Fear. कभी death fear करता है क्या? No. One more figure of speech is there and that is transferred epithet. Here epithet dying is transferred from Ralph to the fear. Fear जो है वो Ralph के लिए use करना था, but here the poet has used for the death. Next is line number 67. A sound as if with the Inchcape bell. That is line number 67. Here it is simile. Simile we all know. There is a direct comparison by using the word as, like and so. So here as is used. The sound is compared with the Inchcape bell. So answer you have to write, the sound is compared with the sound of the Inchcape bell by using as if. So therefore it is simile. Last line of this poem, quarter number 17, last line number 68. The devil below was ringing his knell. Here you can see there is metaphor. लास्ट लाइन देट वॉज सिमिली, इसमें क्या है मेटाफर. मेटाफर में क्या होता है, देर आर कंपेरिजन्स बट विदाउट यूजिंग एज लाइक एंड सो दैट्स वाई वी कॉल इट एज मेटाफर. So here kneel meaning funeral bell, okay, which is indirectly compared with the Inchcape bell. Inchcape bell को किससे कंपेयर किया है, वो जो डेथ बेल फ्यूनरल के टाइम बजता है उससे कंपेयर किया है, विच इज़ लाइफ सेविंग बेल फॉर द मैरिनर्स. Inchcape bell was a life saving bell for the mariners or the sailors को सेव करने के लिए you can see that Inchcape bell was been tied by abbot of Aberbrothock. But what the Ralph heard at the end, that death bell. Okay, so here it is indirectly compared. So that's why in line number 68 a very important figure of speech, and that is metaphor. Now come to the page number 103, where we are going to do first icebreakers question and then we are going to cover margin question answers. So let's see icebreakers questions. First question, prepare a word register related to marine life. Marine life related, any of the words you have to write. So I had prepared one table over here, you can see, and even you can write by your own. First one is sailor, which is given in the textbook. Next sea, next ocean, next naval, seafood, coastal, navy, sailfish, ship, lighthouse, dolphin, sea, shore. So these are the words that you can write which is related to marine life. Must remember these type of questions are personal response, so it might come for 2 marks. So second, the functions of a lighthouse. What is the functions of lighthouse? Lighthouse, it means it guides to the sailors what is there in the sea. Okay, it helps to the sailors, it helps to the ship which are passing. So see, the functions of lighthouse are, lighthouse, first one is done in the textbook on page number 103, to show the direction. Second, to aid prevention of any major accidents. So if any of the difficult situation is there in the ocean or sea, for example if bad weather is there, there is a thunderstorm, or you can see high tide is there and the sailors do not understand what is there in front of them. So this lighthouse, with that lighthouse you can see the picture of the lighthouse, that it shows or it marks or shows the light. While seeing this light, they can understand that there is a danger, okay, because at that time in sky they hardly see anything, so it guides to the sailors, so it is definitely for the sailors. Third point, to indicate one's own status as a vessel. Vessel means, I had told, it means ship. Next, third one, you can see, discuss in pairs the various famous rocks in the world and mention the places where they are. So here you must know, this is for a general knowledge. Two columns are there. First one is done, balancing rock, and where it is, Mahabalipuram. So in the world it is written, okay, so from the world you have to write one. First one, hanging rock, where it is, New South Wales, Australia. Next, Yana rocks, where it is, Karnataka, India. Next, marble rocks, it is in Jabalpur, India. Mount Tai, where it is, China. So these are the you can see famous rocks which are present in our world. Next point, narrate in the class a story about someone who destroyed or spoiled someone else's good work. Some only like your work, but those who do not like your work, that time they spoil. So here also you have to write one incident of your life, that you had prepared or you had done a good work, but it was spoiled by someone else. I had present one story over here. You can write, even it's a personal response, so you can write by your own. But those who don't, the answer is present of mind. Aryan and Ria were best friends in their school. They were studying in 10th standard. Aryan was very poor in study and Ria was intelligent in it. One day they played a game and Aryan lost it. Being jealous, he was very angry upon Ria. He was hurt so badly and was always upset upon Ria. In the final paper of board exam, Aryan sat exactly behind Ria. Aryan was unprepared for his examination, so he had carried a copy with him and started writing off his answer sheet. But when the teacher came near Aryan and was checking him, he secretly threw that copy towards Ria. Very selfish Aryan, you can see over here. The teacher checked Aryan, but he didn't get anything. He saw a copy near Ria's seat. So the teacher suspected whom? Ria's. Teacher thought that this chit may be of Ria. So Ria convinced the teacher, but he didn't agree and punished her. Ria tried to tell to the teacher that she is really very innocent. She tries to prove, but the teacher didn't understood, but didn't agree and punished her. You can see the teacher was not convinced by her statement and teacher punished to Ria. Ria got very disturbed and was unable to write further. Thus, Aryan spoiled Ria's good work and करियर. सो ऑफकोर्स एक भी एग्जाम में अगर चीट पकड़ा जाता है तो मालूम है क्या कंडीशन होता है, ठीक है. सो इट इज़ सेड वॉट एवर यू नो यू राइट बाय योर ओन एंड डोंट थ्रो योर मिस्टेक्स ऑन अदर. So the fourth one you can see students, discuss in pair and groups the following expressions. Take the help of your teacher. You can see some quotation proverb जिसको कहते हैं वो दिया गया है, तो उसको आपको डिस्क्राइब करना है. दैट यू हैव टू डिस्क्राइब. टोटल 5 प्रोवर्ब्स आर देयर. ओके, और ये 5 प्रोवर्ब्स का एक ही मेन है, अंडरस्टैंडिंग दैट इफ़ वी डू पॉजिटिव एक्शंस we get the positive result. If we do the negative actions we will get the negative result. तो कुछ भी गलत या अच्छा करने से पहले we have to think and then we have to do. So in this slide you can see the question and their answers. First one, the meaning of as you sow so shall you reap. इसका एकदम ईजी अंडरस्टैंडिंग है. इफ़ यू डिड बैड थिंग्स इन द पास्ट यू विल गेट बैड रिजल्ट इन द फ्यूचर, एंड इफ़ यू डिड गुड थिंग्स इन योर पास्ट यू विल गेट द गुड रिजल्ट इन द फ्यूचर. तो इसलिए मैंने अभी बताया अच्छा या बुरा, आप अगर पास्ट में अच्छा करोगे यू विल गेट द गुड रिजल्ट. इफ़ यू आर डूइंग wrong things to the others you are definitely going to be punished. Okay. So example आप दे सकते हो. One of the hat man was a criminal a few years ago and now he is in jail. As you sow so shall you reap. Next one, crime gets its punishment. It is universal truth. This is the reality student. क्राइम गेट्स इट्स ओन पनिशमेंट. अगर आप गलत करते हो तो डेफिनेटली आपको पनिशमेंट तो मिलना ही है. We can take the current example. Let's see the latest example of Vikas Dubey, a criminal who shoot 8 police officers. After 6 days, Vikas Dubey was shot by police. Next is what goes around comes around. It means the consequences. Consequences means result of one's action will have to be dealt with eventually. If someone treats other people badly, he or she will eventually be treated badly by someone else. So the meaning of this phrase is whatever you do टू अदर्स विल गेट इन रिटर्न. अगर आप अच्छा करते हो तो आपके साथ अच्छा होगा, अगर आप बुरा करते हो तो आपको बुरा रिटर्न मिलेगा. नेक्स्ट वन, टिट फॉर टैट. टिट फॉर टैट इज़ रियली मोर लाइक ब्लो फॉर ए ब्लो. जैसा करोगे वैसा मिलेगा. इफ़ यू गिव समवन अ कप केक एंड शी गिव्स यू वन बैक, अगर तुम किसी को स्वीट देते हो तो वो भी तुमको वापस देता है, दैट्स नॉट टिट फॉर टैट. ठीक है, उसको मत समझो कि वो टिट फॉर टैट है. दैट वॉज इन द केस ऑफ स्वीट. टिट फॉर टैट इज अ मीन ही इट मीन्स हियर इट्स व्हेन समवन डज समथिंग लाइक हिट और स्टील समथिंग फ्रॉम समवन. अगर कोई किसी का चुरा लेता है, रॉब करता है, थेफ्ट करता है, द अदर पर्सन डज समथिंग इक्वली नेस्टी बैक, ट्रीट यू इन अ वेरी बैड वे, इन अ वेरी नेस्टी वे. तो आपको सेम जैसे आपने किसी का इंसल्ट किया था द सेम वे यू आर गोइंग टू फेस इन योर लाइफ. दिस फ्रेज इज रिलेटेड टू द सेइंग लेट द पनिशमेंट फिट द क्राइम. अगर क्राइम किया है तो पनिशमेंट रिक्वायर्ड है. सो दैट इट सेज इन दिस स्टेटमेंट. Next, last one. Every digs a pit for others but falls in to the same. दूसरों के लिए गड्ढा खोदते खोदते खुद गिर जाते हैं, तो ये इसका मीनिंग है. इट मीन्स दैट द बैड थिंकर्स और द पीपल विथ बैड मेंटालिटी ऑफ आवर सोसाइटी डू सम बैड थिंग harmful for society in order to harm others, but at last due to their bad deeds they themselves got bad effect on themselves or any loss in their life due to only and only their own bad deeds. If you do bad things, कभी ना कभी आपको सेम रिटर्न मिलने वाला है, इतना याद रखो. सो ऑलवेज बी positive, always think for the others also positive. That here it has been said. So here you can give example that a corrupt person who cheats people may get cheated. Now let's see the margin question answers. First one, give reasons for the sailors appreciation of the port. The answer is the bell guided the mariners in the bad weather. The seamen could not see the rock as it stayed hidden under the high waves during the storms, but they could hear the ringing bell and went away from the perilous, that is dangerous rock. So the bell saved several life of the sailors. Then the seafarers, that is those who are passing from that sea, blessed the abbot of Aberbrothock for his good job. That's why those who pass from there and whose life has been saved, they all blesses to abbot of Aberbrothock. Next, describe the state of the mind of Sir Ralph. Sir Ralph was a rower or sea pirate. He was a wicked and jealous man. Next, when the rower spotted the bell, he cut the bell from the boy. This was an act of hatred, anger, jealousy, or frustration. 4 options are given. So the correct answer is jealousy. This was an act of jealousy. Next, gurgling sound. We all had done right now figures of speech. What it indicates? Which figure of speech? Onomatopoeia. The word gurgling is used to hint the sound of the drowning bell. Now see on the page number 106. Oh Christ, it is the Inchcape rock. Question is, what made Ralph the rower to exclaim this line? Why Ralph the rower at last remembered to the Jesus Christ? Because answer, the tides were strong, the rower and his team are drifting along with the ship. Suddenly the vessel gets a jerking, that is the ship was struck with the Inchcape rock. They all realize that the vessel, that is the ship, has hit the Inchcape rock. So he exclaimed this line. So he, in a fear, he shouted this line, oh Christ, it is the Inchcape rock. Now come to the last topic of today, that is brainstorming question. Activity 1. Narrate in groups the scene described in the beginning of the poem. So the answer is, look into this slide. The scene described in the beginning of the poem is best captured in the first 2 stanzas or quatrain, wherein a calm scenario has been depicted. The air, the sea, and the ship are in a peaceful state. The sea waves are so feeble that they don't send any sound or shock. They do not rise or fall enough to cause the Inchcape bell to ring. So, the poet describes the calmness of the sea and sets the natural beauty. Activity 2. Complete the following statements. Here you can see 4 statements are there and you have to complete it. Must remember, in exam you would be given passages, and from the passages you have to take out the line and complete this statement. The abbot of Aberbrothock placed a bell on the Inchcape rock because mariners should become aware about the presence of dangerous rock, that is Inchcape rock. B. The mariners were grateful to the abbot of Aberbrothock because the kind noble person, that is Abbot of Aberbrothock, anchored the bell or tied the bell at that Inchcape rock. This bell worked as a warning bell, especially in the bad weather when the mariners or sailors couldn't see what is there in front of them. It guides to the sailors whenever they were near the dangerous rock. C. The result of the thick haze that covered the sky was that because of the thick haze means fog, sky is covered with the cloud, that time the sailors couldn't see. Because of this haze and darkness in the sky, the rower and his men could not see the land and wished they were ship that if they could hear that Inchcape bell, and within short time they were troubled because the Ralph the rower cut the bell rope. He have to face the trouble. The rower in frustration pulled his hair and cursed himself because the rower, that is Ralph the rower's ship, was in trouble. The water entered into the vessel, that is the ship, from all sides in despair and agony and frustration. Ralph the rower, he tore his hair and cursed himself for cutting off the Inchcape bell. Given below are the events that give the theme of the poem in a jumbled form, arranged in a proper sequence as per their occurrence. So these are the 5 points which are given, but it is not in the ascending order. According to the sequence of the poem as it happens one after the another, you have to place these 5 statement in a proper order. जंबल मतलब ऊपर नीचे करके सेंटेंस दिया, आपको पोएम में जैसे इवेंट्स हुए हैं उस हिसाब से बराबर सीरियल ऑर्डर में लगाने का है. सो व्हाट्स द आंसर? First one, the abbot of Aberbrothock had placed the bell on a buoy on the rock. So B is the first one. Next, A. The waves were so small that they did not move enough to ring the bell at the Inchcape rock. Next is D. Ralph bent over from the boat. Next is C. There was a thick haze spread over the atmosphere. And the last is the last one, that is Sir Ralph cursed himself in despair and in his frustration tore his hair. Third, describe the qualities of the Abbot of Aberbrothock in your own words. We all know Abbot of Aberbrothock is the person who is known for kind-hearted, a good natured person. So here you can see one web is given, qualities of Abbot of Aberbrothock, and in textbook 2 points are given, benevolent and big-hearted. You have to fill the remaining blanks. Benevolent means paropkari or well kind-hearted person. As you had read the poem, so can you list some good qualities of Abbot of Aberbrothock? Of course, he was third. You write down generous. Next, well-wisher. Next, helpful. Next, we can write adventurous or brave. Next, intelligent. Next, skilled. And last, a very important one, that is kind hearted. Fourth one, jealousy is the most incurable defect. Justify. Incurable, it means it can't be cured. Defect means having the problem. If so, can you justify this? It's a interpretative type question, or of course exam में 2 marks का interpretation type question आता ही है. People get jealous for the success, fame and achievement of others. They don't try to achieve the same but take pleasure in harming good people. In this poem, Ralph the rower got jealous at a good abbot of Aberbrothock's fame for putting a bell on the dangerous Inchcape rock and saving the passing ships and the sailors, and lots of life has been saved, especially of the sailors, in this bad weather. Out of his jealousy, the rower, that is Ralph the rower, decided to cut the bell and put an end to the abbot's fame. All pray for abbot of Aberbrothock, so he do not like his fame. So behind the act of cutting the bell, the main thing was jealousy for the abbot of Aberbrothock, who was having Ralph the rover. So first thing is required in our life, that is stop doing jealousy for others. Next one, fifth one. There is one statement, but the rover's mirth was wickedness. This statement is directly taken from the poem. Explain this line in your own words with the help of the poem. So the answer is Sir Ralph was only extraordinarily happy because when he's planning some wicked thing, he was planning some wrong things to do. His chief purpose in life seems to bring suffering and sorrow on all he meets. He thought that I will now do something wrong, and that's why he was more cheerful. And mirth means happiness, we all know. When Sir Ralph knew that due to Inchcape Bell, most of the ship were saved, and they praised to the good abbot of Aberbrothock. Sir Ralph thought if he cuts the bell means he will cut the fame of the abbot of Aberbrothock, and nobody will suspect him. So this attitude shows that rowers, that is Ralph the rover's mirth, it means happiness, was wickedness. His happiness was not real true happiness, but he was happy with a cunning behavior in his mind. Activity 3. Yeah, some of the words is given in the poem which are related to the different parts of a ship or a mariner's life. Given below are the meanings of those terms. Identify the words which are used in this poem. इस poem में जो use हुआ है उससे related ही words आपको लिखना है. First one, helps in steering the ship. What is that? We all know it is wheel. Next you can see, student, the lowest part of the ship is keel, object to balance the ship, and that is keel. Next, floating object that shows direction, that is buoy. Another name for a ship, that is vessel. Last, sinking sound. The answer is gurgling sound. So activity 4 on page number 108, first one, ballad. I think in the first lecture I had totally given you full information about what is ballad. So read it very carefully. However, I had taught you in my first lecture of Inchcape Rock. And this is just for your understanding. Is that clear? Next, activity 2. Select the appropriate figures of speech from the box given below and complete the table. At the starting of the lecture only I had taken the figures of speech. So now I hope that while seeing the question in your textbook you can able to analyze the answer. First one is done for you. Sir Ralph the rover tore his hair. Here the important figure of speech is alliteration. Why it is? Because the close repetition of the consonant sound at the beginning of the word. Second one, no stair in the air, no stair in the sea. Answer is repetition. In this line you can see the words no stair, in and the is repeated. So this figure of speech is based on construction. Next, on a buoy in the storm floated and swung. So answer is inversion. That is the words which are used in this sentence are not in the proper poetic order. So the correct order is it floated and swung on a buoy in the storm. Next, down sunk the bell with a gurgling sound. I had told here it is onomatopoeia. In this line, the word gurgling brings out the sound. So this figure of speech is based on sound. Fifth one, the devil below was ringing his nail. Answer is metaphor. Why it is metaphor? In this line, devil ringing bell, it is indirectly compared with the rower's death. So this figure of speech is based on resemblance, that is indirectly compared. And next, the ship was as still as she could be. So the answer is personification. In this line, the inanimate object, that is ship, has been given the human being quality, that is to still. So in this figure of speech, it is based on imagination. On the deck, the rower takes his stand. Answer is inversion. elements order is changed for poetic effect. So the correct order is the rower takes his stand on the deck. Next, last one. Oh Christ. Answer is apostrophe. In this example, Christ has been directly addressed. So if it is directly addressed, it is known as apostrophe. So in this figure of speech, it is also based on the imagination. Next is question number 5. First one, write an appreciation of the poem The Inchcape Rock. फर्स्ट वन मस्ट रिमेंबर यू हैव टू राइट अबाउट द पोएम. पोएट एंड टाइटल एग्जाम में आपको पॉइंट्स दिया रहेगा, उसी का आंसर आपको लिखना है. सो प्लीज पे अटेंशन. द इंचकेप रॉक इज अ बैलेट. इट्स द स्टोरी ऑफ द abbot of Aberbrothock to install a warning bell on Inchcape, about 11 miles, that is 18 kilometers off the east coast of Angus, Scotland. The poem gives us the message that those who do wrong things will meet with due punishment. Robert Southey, who was the English poet of the Romantic school, was the famous historian, biographer, essayist, and poet. His poems are very popular with the school children. The entire story moves around the legendary rock, thus the title, The Inchcape Rock, is very apt. Next, theme, summary, or gist of the poem. The central idea of the poem is that those who do bad things will ultimately be punished, or one pays for one's misdeeds. Even we know that evil digs a pit for others but falls into the same. अभी हमने किया इसको आइस ब्रेकर में, ये स्टेटमेंट को. इन आवर लाइफ वॉट goes around comes around. Yes. So always remember, as you sow, so shall you reap. These are the themes of the poem which we had already done. Next, poetic style, language, poetic device used in the poem. It is a narrative poem. Yes, narrating a story of two characters. It is a lyrical ballad. A ballad is traditionally sung by a band of wandering musicians. The poem has 17 stanzas, that is quatrain. It is a satirical and serious adventurous poem. The poet has used very simple language. A number of poetic devices are used to convey a moral lesson. And what is that? As you sow, so shall you reap. Okay, this is the moral. So, what are the figures of speech it had used? Alliteration, inversion, metaphor, simile, onomatopoeia, repetition, apostrophe, personification, etc. are the figures of speech used in this poem. Here the first line of each stanza rhymes with the second line, and the third line is rhyming with the fourth line. Therefore, the rhyming scheme in this poem is AABB. It creates the special effects on the reader's mind. All stanzas carry the same form. Next, special features, novelties, focusing element. The poet has used the descriptive and narrative techniques to enhance the effective of the poem. The poem, The Inchcape Rock, provides a fine verbal image of the calm atmosphere of the sea, the sun, the waves, birds, rock, bell, etc. It means words are very simple. In this way, the ballad glides from one incident to another very smoothly, providing vivid, it means different pictures of our mind. It creates the special effects on the reader's mind. Yes. Next, message, values, or morals in the poem. The poem Inchcape Rock teaches a moral lesson. Okay, it is a didactic poem. The poem proves the principle that crime gets its own punishment. So the message that we have to control our action, deeds, anger, emotions, and behavior with others. Otherwise, one day we will get same reaction from others. The poem gives us a valuable message of wisdom and reality. Your opinion about the poem. So you have to write by your own what you think for this poem. I am really inspired by reading this poem. I understood, आपको pronoun इस point में I use करना है. I understood the cycle of action and its reaction very well. I personally learned not to harm anyone or play with their emotion. Lastly, I understood the principle of life. Live and let leave. Don't create the problems in the life of others. If you create the problems in the life of others, you are going to face it. Next one, activity 5, second one. Compose 4 to 6 lines on C. You can write by your own, but one answer, general answer I had given so that you can understand. I like this blue Arabian Sea. View of dolphin without any fee. Sitting on shore, taking the tea. Spending some time tension free. I pray the God, bending on my knees, to give more time to see the sea. So here you can see I had made the 6 lines and all the 6 lines are rhyming with each other. The color also I had used so that you can understand. See, tea, knee, fee, free, see. So these are the lines which are rhyming. So आपको इसी टाइप का एग्जाम में सी से रिलेटेड पोएम सिंपल बनाना आना चाहिए. You have to construct the poem by your own self with having proper rhyming words and rhyming scheme in your own poem. Next one is activity 6. Expand the ideas of your own on the following topics. I think in the 11th standard I had done, and even the writing skill, it's very important.
The first topic is pride goes before a fall. Wise men have rightly said, pride means have a fall. Similarly,
Vanity, like pride, is bound to meet frustration and dejection. Life is a glorious gift meant to be pursued. For higher pursuits such as self improvement, self actualization, and serving the suffering humankind. Where is the time for vain materialistic pursuits in such a competitive world? But unfortunately, a major portion of human beings indulge in materialistic pursuits. They waste their time, money, energy, and other resources almost all their life later on to realize the futility of it. The famous Hindu epic Ramayana teaches us the lesson against the pride through the character of Ravan, who, though a wise and learned man, suffered from the vice. In his pride, he violated the limits of decency and kidnapped Sita, Lord Rama's spouse, wife of Lord Rama. This pride of his led to not only his fall but also the fall of the entire kingdom. This lesson against pride is also convincingly taught us through the fable of hare and tortoise. The hare is the fable has excessive pride in its ability to run fast. However, this pride had a fall in the form of his defeat in the race against the tortoise. So we must overcome our pride with the virtue of humanity. So one I had done it for you. Remaining I hope you can do it by your own as homework. However, I am providing the answer in this slide. You can pause the video and write down the 3 remaining expansion of ideas. That is B, time and tide wait for none. C, man proposes, God disposes. And D, look before you leap. Activity 6. The poem begins with, without either sign or sound of their shock, the waves flowed over the Inchcape rock. And the poem ends with the statement, till the vessel strike with a shivering shock. On the basis of these lines, explain the change in the mood of the poem. In the beginning of the poem, there is no movement in the air and the sea. The ship was also motionless. Yes, the waves flowed over the Inchcape rock smoothly. It means that there is no risk to any sailor. Everyone was happy. But in the last stanza, the mood changes to worry, anxiety, tension as the ship collides. It means crashes with the Inchcape rock. The calm and cheerful atmosphere in the beginning of the poem is now full of despair and fear. It means starting it was so calm and quiet atmosphere, but because of the wickedness or cunning nature of the Ralph the rover, the end becomes so first. Activity 7, you have to do it by yourself. So in this way we had completed point 3. Inchcape rock Write down all the question answers which I had given today as notes in your notebook. When the college will reopen, I'm going to check it. All the notes which I had given today and enjoy learning. This is Garima Miss signing off. Stay home, stay safe.